Welcome to Andy and Ari On3, a very special edition. We are at the Modelo activation at the College Football Playoff Fan Central. The national championship game is Monday night, Indiana, Miami on ESPN from Hard Rock Stadium. But we are here with a bunch of people who are here for the greatest thing in the world, free Modelo.
It is the greatest thing in the world. It really is the greatest thing in the world. And you know what the second greatest thing in the world is? Being in Miami Beach 2 days before the national championship game with your buddies.
It is tremendous. We got a Chilada bar over here. So I went Modelo Especial, Cholula hot sauce, tahine on the rim, tahine stick to stir with. There's gummy bears at the bottom. This is amazing.
And the third best thing is warm cherry pie. But that is, that's pretty good. And he's drinking mine, by the way. I don't know if he told you that. I already drank mine, and I stole Ari's. Yeah, but we got a pretty good show today. We were at Media Day this morning.
Unbelievable.
Getting the vibes. Got he's got to size up the teams. Who's bigger? Who's more locked in? None of that means anything, but it does feel good to kind of talk about it.
Well, and the theme here at Modelo today is the part of the game. And you know what I think the most beautiful part of a football game is?
Trench play.
That is exactly right. Exactly right. It is those giant offensive linemen slamming into those giant defensive linemen. The ballet of bulldozers, I believe, was once called in a Nike commercial. And I'm so excited about this game because these O-lines are so freaking good. So our preview show, with the exception of one head coach, is all O-linemen.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear from Malachi Tony anyway, right? No, we'll talk about
We do talk about baby Jesus later.
Yes, yeah. And, of course, we've got multiple days before the game. We're going to have videos after the game. Malachi Tony, Elijah Surratt, Fernando Mendoza. These are the guys we've been talking about from the beginning. But I do think that this is a game where very few people nationally, maybe not in this building where it's dominated by Miami fans, but believe that Miami's going to win. But I think that you and I have both kind of talked ourselves into Miami having a really good shot at this. And I don't know if that's our mind meld or if that is us trying to think clearly about what's going to happen in the trenches. I really do think that's what's going to decide this game, to be cliche about it.
I think Miami should be able to run on them some. I don't think they're going to be dominant in the run game because I don't think anybody can be dominant in the run game against Indiana. But I think they will be able to run well enough to control the clock, to make it come down to who can run the ball in the fourth quarter. And who's been able to run the ball in the fourth quarter the entire college football playoff?
Miami, though it's not fair to leave out Indiana's ability to do it. They just haven't had to do it because they were winning by 100 every week. They're just kicking the
crap out of everybody. You're right.
The thing that I feel like Miami needs to hope for is if they get the ball first, or even if they don't, the first time they touch the ball, if they can create a long, sustained drive with 4 yards a pop on the ground and score a touchdown, that is a message, I think, to the entire country and to the opposing sideline that this is going to be a 4-quarter game. And I really do think they can do it. Now, the one thing that we saw today is that Miami has a visible size advantage. And I know that that's by design.
Right, yeah. The Indiana D-line is the size it is, not because they can't get big guys, but because that is the size they want for the scheme they play, and it works really, really well.
And to be clear, Indiana's offensive linemen are huge.
They are. We're going to have Pat Coogan, the center, and Carter Smith, the left tackle, on the show. You will see how huge these guys are, but you will also see how huge Francis Mauigoa is.
He's a big boy.
All right, so before we get to the O-lineman, let's get to one of their head coaches because, Ari, you had a very interesting question for Indiana head coach Curt Cignetti, and he, of course, as he always does, gave you a very blunt answer.
You said up here that the novelty of being here isn't there for you guys and that you have a job to do. When you're doing something as a program for the first time when you're doing something as a program for a first time in a century, how do you balance that? We've got a job to do, and how do you enjoy this?
Yeah, You know, we're still in our preparation process, right? We all understand that. Obviously, the last 2 years, it's been a great story, right? And it's been fast progress, kind of surreal to some degree. It's a big story nationally. I get that. And but that's separate, sort of, from our team mindset right now in terms of us physically being here and what our intentions are today, what we got to get done today. So it's been great. We got a lot of momentum, but we're playing a great football team. And Miami, tenacious up front on the defensive line, really physical on the offensive line, big running back, athletes everywhere, playmakers at wide receiver. You know, special teams are very good. They're playing on their home field, right? They didn't have to travel. You know, so it's a big mountain we have to climb.
So Curt Cignetti, interesting, not as much bravado as he normally has, because this is I win, Google it. That's Curt Cignetti.
In fairness to him, it was the very first question. And maybe I should have let
him got loosened up afterward.
You know, but I do think that it is cool to hear that somebody that has that bravado, that confidence, every single time a microphone's in front of his face, he's going to make it rain. At least acknowledge and appreciate the challenge that's in front of him. And maybe in a way at times that he hasn't in the past. And I don't know if you know, sometimes as reporters that we like to read into things and try to give you the definition of something that is said that isn't actually obvious. I really do think that Curt Cignetti knows in his heart that this is going to be a closer game. Like I don't. 8.5 seems like a lot of points, man. I still can't get.
It's a whole lot of points, and that's been my problem since the line came out. That was my problem when the line jumped from 7.5 to 8.5. So I don't know exactly how it goes, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be a blowout either direction. It feels like it will be a close game.
And maybe that's wish casting a little bit. We both want it to be close. We don't want to come all the way to Miami.
Everybody wants a good game, yeah.
Watch a blowout. I mean, we've seen a lot of blowouts in the past on this stage, but I'm wondering if the playoff and the fact that it's 12 teams now and they have to win 3 or 4 games to get to this point or to be the champion, if that's going to weed out that. Like, well, that's a theory of yours, right? Where if you play it.
Yeah, well, they didn't do that last year.
Yeah.
Ohio State jumped all over Notre Dame. And
seeding was messed up last year.
That's true. Well, speaking of that game last year, we had a gentleman on this version of the show this time last year coming off of National Championship Game Media Day. We talked to Notre Dame's starting center, a guy named Pat Coogan, about 4 quarters of FU football. Well, Pat Coogan is now the starting center at Indiana because, remember, Notre Dame had guys get healthy. They had guys come back. And Pat Coogan was kind of the odd man out and had to go find another place if he wanted to start. And he winds up at Indiana, and now he's the starting center in the national title game again.
So wild, wild career arc. I actually cannot imagine being him in this moment. And he's a major important piece. He had a podium in the first half this time.
He was the offensive MVP of the Rose Bowl.
And I am actually happy and proud of the media members that went to the Rose Bowl and were able to at least acknowledge that was
Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Fowler who did that.
That's not a thing that you see very often. It's usually who had good stats, boom, that guy.
Yeah.
But it was cool to have Coogan on the show, and we have some Indiana fans here shouting out his name.
They're going Coogan.
It's an Indiana guy through and through. So yeah, let's get to it.
Well, let's talk to Pat. And he's going to say something in this interview. You ask a really good question. And I feel like he's going to give us the mission statement of Indiana football. And Ari and I have been arguing about this since we finished this interview. I want you guys to hear it, and then we'll discuss it on the other side. We are here with a repeat guest. Pat Coogan.
It's a tradition.
All right. Was with us at this event last year. You were Notre Dame starting center going into the national championship game. You're back with Indiana. This is old hat, right? This is easy, right?
Nothing's ever easy.
I love the perfect center mentality.
Trust me.
Every snap matters.
Did you have a podium last year?
Yeah, for the second half of the 30 minutes.
Okay,
yeah.
you did. All right.
Oh, but he was a second half 30-minute guy.
Yeah, you're a
Now he's
first half
30
30-minute
guy.
podium guy. That's
How life changes, huh?
yeah. I mean, it is kind of crazy. I was like talking to Andy about this before you came on. Like your career arc's been really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what's it been like to? Because you were like Notre Dame through and through. Like you're a Notre Dame guy, and then you go a few hours away, and here you are again.
Yeah. I kind of lived the traditional like high school lineman. Like I true redshirt my freshman year.
Yeah.
3-star kid from the suburbs of Chicago. Had needed to develop. I had a ton of baby fat. I mean, still do. Not gonna lie.
Mine never went away, buddy. I'm pushing 40.
Join the club.
So I kind of lived a traditional, high school lineman life, and I learned from a lot of great people. My early years, a lot of great players. The Jared Pattersons, Joe Alt, one of my best friends. Blake Fisher's on the Texans as well. Josh Lugg, a lot of older people.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a young kid, I tried to take as much as I can. I tried to just soak it all up and kind of live the experience, and obviously, grind in the weight room and everything like that. But it's been a wild ride. There's no doubt about it. This past year it's felt like the longest year of my life, but I feel like if I blink, I was just back here,
When you plug in with this group, because it is like we talked to Carter, he's been there the whole time. Zen comes from Ohio State. You've got other guys that came from other schools. You got how do you all come together as a unit?
Yeah, well, I think the key to that is recruiting like-minded individuals who is going to fit in, and I think that's what Coach Cignetti has done a great job of. Like everyone likes to talk about the portal and stuff like that. A lot of people are hit or miss with the portal, right? Like you have to recruit like-minded individuals that are committed to a common goal and a common purpose, and I think that's what we've done a great job here. And it starts with Coach Cignetti. It starts with Coach Bostad, identifying players and every coaching staff and every player personnel a part of the operation. And I just think, I've talked about it numerous times, but just off the field and on the field, off the field might just be as important as bonding on the field, right? Like being able to step off the field and in the locker room, but also just outside the facility as a whole and just be boys,
So
right?
what do the boys do at Indiana when you have a little spare time? What do the boys do?
I mean, just for example, last week we were watching the NFL games at my buddy Bomba's house and just hang out on the couch. We got a bunch of food catered, like wings and burgers and stuff. And in the summer, outside playing games or video games or whatever it may be, just hanging out. A bunch of guys are in like a big apartment complex with like grass and stuff like that. So it's stuff like that is key to bonding.
I know that this isn't new for you. You've been here and you had been at a program that anticipated being here every year. Indiana 3 years ago wasn't that. What is the secret sauce for Curt Cignetti, you think? How did he get a place that has been one of the losingest program in college football history for over a century to being one of the elite programs in the country in such a short amount of time?
Yeah, see, that's the common question. Like everyone wants to know what's the secret, right? Like there is no secret. The secret's in the work. Like the secret's in the prep. There's no magic pill we take. There's no, secret book we read that gives us all the keys to success. Like you just got to put in the work, man. You got to put in the prep. You got to put in the hours. And I know it may sound cliche, but that's at the end of the day, like that's what it's really all about. And
I'm sending this clip to my kids afterward, by the way.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe me when I say that. Nobody ever believes you. Everybody wants to find some pill
I
or
actually don't
some
believe
magic bullet. But
I mean, I'm not saying that what you're saying is not important.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's getting everybody to believe in that.
Yeah.
Right.
And accept that it's a process. To get what you want, you have to do all of these super hard things over and over again.
What's that saying? Don't do anything extraordinary. Do the extraordinarily hard things consistently. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, no one's a superhero, right? Like,
I don't know. Fernando looks like one sometimes, but
at the same time, if you saw him put in the amount of work that he puts in, like you wouldn't be surprised.
D'Angelo Ponce is maybe one. He can jump like a comic book hero, right?
But he puts in the work.
Yeah.
That's why I like. That's it. Nobody. Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like it seems like you all are so accountable to one another. Like how much of when you're in the weight room and and that last rep's going to kill you, do you feel like I can't let these guys down?
Certainly. I mean, yeah, and I think Coach Owens, our strength coach, has done just an unbelievable job of implementing a system of accountability or a system of, obviously hard work, but also just the team aspect. And, Elijah Serrata has kind of implemented a thing in the past, like 2 months, 3 months, where we call them like championship reps.
Yeah.
So whether we're doing we're doing 3x10 of whatever it may be, it's a circuit based kind of system. Yeah. So who's ever in the circuit with them, is doing like 1 or 2 extra reps, like those championship reps, and
just extra. That's not part of the
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it started with just the receivers. Like it started in the receiver room, and now it's like everybody on offense. So
that's
a credit to Surratt for that.
I'm sure Andy brought this up to you, but you went semi-viral last year for your wonderful pregame speech, which I think was badass, by the way. What is it this year? Like, come on, guys, 4 quarters of mistake-free football. You guys don't make mistakes. Like, what? Who's the guy who gives the speech, and what is your speech this year?
It's still me.
You're the guy?
Yeah, I do it. Yeah.
Do you have to tell people, hey, I'm a speech giver, or is that just sort of earned?
No, not at all. And I never wanted to be fake or, we've talked about this before, fake or like rehearse it or anything like that. Cause then it just comes off as like corny and that I'm doing it for TikTok. But it kind of like our Coach Shanahan, our offensive coordinator, gives us a little like breakdown before Coach Sig calls us up. He talks about the first couple plays and first third down per se, fundamental stuff.
Yeah.
And then it started early in the season where it was very slight. I'd say like something very quick and just, not as maybe emotional as vulgar. And then it kind of transitioned throughout the season. I feel like I kind of exploded before Iowa and Oregon.
Which you needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everyone started talking about how they loved it so much. And so it's kind of just carried on forward.
Has it gotten more vulgar as you go?
It's always pretty vulgar, but
good.
Unfortunately, that's just the heat of the moment. Like
you're an offensive lineman, you don't apologize for cussing.
Yeah,
like
Pat, one thing I was thinking about is obviously you probably still have a lot of really good friends at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You helped build that to what it is today, whether you're there or not anymore. They were obviously engaged all year in a heavy college football playoff debate about whether they should have gotten in or whether your opponent should have gotten in. How much did you keep up with that? And do you find yourself engaged in normal college football discourse during the season? And how much do you still care about that place and its destination and what's it been like to be on the other side of it?
Yeah, I mean, first, it's always going to hold a special place in my heart. Like, there's no doubt about it. We've talked about this earlier, but, like, I grew up a Notre Dame fan. So, like I said, always going to hold a special place in my heart. I have lifelong memories and lifelong friends there. And we still have our, kind of national championship group chat that we text in maybe once or twice a month, just random stuff, like just being dudes kind of. So, yeah, I keep up with them here and there. I've texted some of them about players that like similar opponents. But like I said, I don't try and keep up with the state of college football because it's so much and I have a job to focus on. And I don't want to get lost in the
also you know more
nonsense.
than we do, and that's the best part.
And it's our job to keep them up to speed on what's going on.
Right, exactly.
Well,
because
Pat,
we don't want you to get too good at that.
I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
Rose Bowl offensive MVP. I thought you should have been the Peach Bowl one too, but I guess Fernando had an okay game.
Yeah, he played hard.
just the block on the safety on the Hemby run by the goal line. That's all I needed right there. So, but thank you so much and good luck.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
We'll see you at the Super Bowl next year.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Sorry. No secret sauce. No magic book. No magic bullet. Whatever phrase you want to use, they say they don't have that. It is just the work
I think that's great. I do think that the key to life is working hard, being consistent, having a goal in mind, and doing what you can every single day to achieve that goal.
Right.
All the things that you will see in Barnes & Nobles in the self-help section, I think do work. That's not what happened here. It's not that they didn't work hard, but do you think that Indiana didn't work hard 3 years ago? Did the teams not work hard 3 years ago? They increased the talent.
Mm-hmm.
They have higher level players on the team. The coaches are coaching their ass off. They play mistake-free football, which has nothing to do with how hard you work. Maybe it's about discipline. But I do think that there's something really important when it comes to Curt Cignetti and what he's been able to do. And you brought this up. There is a secret sauce. He talks about the importance of bringing the right people into the program. The same types of people that think in the same way as you, like-minded people. Being able to identify those people in 2 days or 3 days during the transfer portal era is the secret sauce. That to me, that's what it is. And how he does it, we'll never know. It's like Warren Buffett saying, buy companies cheap and hold them for a long time, but not telling anybody what the formula is to identify that. We don't know what the formula is, but if you can bring in these players and create a functional team that doesn't jump off sides in the playoff, that's so much more than we work hard.
So before Pat came on and talked to us, we were talking to him in a little group over on the other side of the room. And he talked about the first conversation with Cignetti. And so the first conversation with Cignetti calls him. Pat is driving home to the suburbs of Chicago from South Bend. It's about an hour and a half drive. He said he talked to Curt Cignetti for about 45 minutes of that drive. That was the conversation probably where Curt Cignetti said, this is the guy who fits what we do. This is the guy I need to be my center. If you can ID that correctly in 45 minutes, you have a superpower. And that may be one of Curt Cignetti's superpowers.
Yeah, and maybe that is just, good intuition, good judge of character, whether you gel. Because how many coaches have been torpedoed by bringing the wrong people into their program? Whether that means locker room cancer or people who don't fit into the scheme because they don't have the right attitude. I don't know what it is. But I do think that there are teams like Purdue and Indiana and Mississippi State and, not to pick on teams that have been not very good for long periods of time, that work hard and have good people on their team. They've got 3 first-round draft picks on their team, maybe. Right? 3, maybe? Or at least 3 that might be in the conversation.
We have Fernando Mendoza for sure. We'll see about the other guys.
Odds to be the number 1 overall pick in the draft. It's like minus.
No, he's going to be a first-round draft pick. It's whether they have other ones or not is the question. And Miami, we think, has 2 in this draft in Mauigoa and Bain.
I mean, we have to go look this up, and maybe I should have done this while we were waiting to go live. But when was the last time Indiana had multiple picks in the same draft in the top 2 rounds?
It may have never happened.
So is that hard work? That doesn't add up to hard work to me.
It's not just hard work. There is more to it than that. But there is something to what Pat Coogan was saying and what Curt Cignetti has been saying about being process-oriented. We've heard Nick Saban say this for years, where you ignore the scoreboard and you just concentrate on the next play or the next rep in the weight room. It is the hardest thing to do for anybody. Everybody wants to know, am I going to win? Or am I going to get this job? Or am I going to meet the woman of my dreams? Am I going to marry?
Or am I going to have a 6-pack?
Am I ever going to have a 6-pack? Right. Do you know how you have a 6-pack? I can't speak from experience because I've never actually had one other than a 6-pack of Modelo. You eat right, you work out, then you eat right again and you work out again and you eat right again and you work out again and you do it every freaking day.
Abs are built in the kitchen out of a gym, right?
I do know that. That's why I keep saying eat right first. That's why I've never had a 6-pack that wasn't one of Modelo.
It is wild how hard it is to actually just eat right for like a month straight.
Right.
It's like the hardest thing to do in the world.
So imagine that, but imagine that level of discipline in your professional life, because these are professional football players. Let's be real.
I'm not trying.
But every single day, every single rep, every single practice play, every single practice session, every single practice period, you have to have that level of discipline to play the way Indiana does. And it is a bit of magic that coaches can get players to practice that way. We'll hear Miami guys talk about this too, by the way. And there's a reason Miami's here. But I always go back to Nick Saban because he won more national titles than anybody. He got his players to understand that every little step along the way mattered. And they had to think about that as they were going through every day. And I don't think a lot of people can make 18 to 22-year-olds think about that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not trying to undermine what he said. That I understand, too, that doing the extra reps and showing up, and being consistent and doing all the things that it takes to be excellent, to be a champion.
Yeah, how about Elijah Surratt making everybody do extra reps?
You know what? They're not extra if everyone's doing them.
That's exactly right. That's just the standard now.
Yeah. So, I think that Indiana, in the puzzle that everybody's trying to put together right now, as the Adam Schefter of college football standing behind us, is how did people – that's Pete Nakos I'm talking about, by the way.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get Carter coming in here.
He does have a baby face. He's a handsome man, though. He's the personnel guy. He breaks all the news, just going where, whatnot. But people are trying to understand and put the puzzle pieces together on is how could you possibly get all of those pieces to not only come into your program, but to fit so perfectly. And like that, to me, is the entire answer to it. While getting people to do it the way that Pat Coogan talks about, process-oriented, one day at a time, get better every day, 1% better, whatever coaching cliche you want to say, while having a good enough players to, carry that out.
It is a little bit, like I said, sorcery, magic, but a lot of it is just do the work. And get the players to believe in doing the work, and that's what they've done. Now, Indiana's not the only team that's done that. Miami has come a long way. Miami, look, when I was a kid, Miami was winning national titles, it felt like every other year. It has not been that way for a long time. They've been wandering through the wilderness for 20 years. And when Mario Cristobal got there, he started recruiting in a way that he felt like he could get players that were similar to when he played at Miami in the late 80s and early 90s. Francisco Mauigoa was one of those people. He was at IMG Academy in Bradenton. He's from Samoa. 335 pounds, one of the strongest people you'll ever meet. And he signed with Miami, and he committed to Mario Cristobal when it was just a dream because the results weren't great. And Ruben Bain signed in the same class. And those were some of the building blocks for this team. They came in, they were immediate impact players, and they have kind of led the way.
Yep. You know what I think is interesting, Andy? When we were at the Miami-Florida State game in Tallahassee earlier this year, and Miami won a pretty convincing game that got close for no reason at the end, I asked Mario Cristobal after the game about the balance between echoing the past and bringing back the U while also focusing on the current excellence of the program. And he said that they honor and they respect what they were back in the days of, his playing days, back when all the greats played there, but wants to, forge their own path, write their own chapter, do it their own way. And I think that, funny enough, if you take the tunnel gunslinger stuff and the Catholic versus converts, convicts.
Catholics versus converts is great too.
Yeah.
Is BYU the converts?
I don't know.
I mean, somebody was converted at some point.
Bible joke that I don't understand. But you know what I mean, though, Andy? It isn't that, but beating the shit out of people in the trenches is that.
It is.
And people just don't remember that as much because they don't pay attention to offensive linemen.
Well, we're paying attention to them now. And here is one of the first who will go off the board in the draft in April. He may be the first offensive lineman off the board in April. Francis Mauigoa.
I guarantee you look at this man and you think, that man's not named Cece. But yes, he is.
Francis Mino, what is your full name?
Francis Falili Finangalmama Mauigoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, so in the Samoan culture, calling you Cece, nobody's worried about that.
Yeah, no. Because Francis in Samoan is Falangi Sisi, and short for that is Sisi. So I've kind of adopted that.
So that is also my favorite pizza buffet.
Yeah.
You been there?
Sisi's pizza?
Yeah.
No, everybody keep telling me about it.
It's
but
like $4 and you can just smash, dude. For an offensive lineman, it's a pretty good place to get calories if you need them. Yeah.
I haven't got a chance to go there yet.
Yeah.
So we were talking to Coach Mirabal about the mentality of this offensive line. How quickly do Coach Mirabal, Coach Cristobal get that into you when you get to Miami?
It's just like that, or you get left out. I mean, when I got in my freshman year, it was fast paced. High school is nothing like college football.
Yeah.
Coming in as a 5-star, I was a 0-star when I got into Miami.
Were people yelling at you like were they calling you 5-star to make fun of you?
Yeah, kind of a little bit. But when I got there, I mean, everything goes to trash. Coach started yelling at me because I was slacking and everything like that. So, but I was kind of picking it up from there on out.
What's it like to be maybe the heart and soul of whether this team is successful? Not just you, the offensive line, to set the tone, to be the physical ones, to control the way a game is going.
Yeah.
I mean, how big of a responsibility is that, especially on this stage?
Yeah, I mean, with Coach Mirabal and Coach Cristobal behind you, you got no choice. You got to be the tone setters of the team. And Coach Cristobal instilled that in our O-line group, is that we have to be the tone setters. Everything starts from the offensive lineman. The ball don't get to the quarterback from the ground. It gets from the center. And we have to protect the quarterback in order for the quarterback to make us play. We have to protect the running back for the running back to be a playmaker. And everything starts from us. And we take pride in that.
So when you are pushing the entire pile, like the Ohio State game, there was a Marty Brown run where you pushed the whole pile like 5 yards. And you guys have done this in a bunch of games. But what does that feel like? Because I know that like the TV broadcast showed the replay, and it is you, and it's just chopping the feet. It's like a sled drill.
Yeah, we do that every time, man. It's amazing. Whenever we get a chance to help our running back make more yards, we're going to do it.
When you see something like that on film, and you had there was one in the Florida game where I feel like the pile moved like 8 yards. Like, how excited do you guys get watching those back?
It just shows how hard work we are as an offensive line group. Yeah. We take pride in those, man. I mean, Coach Mirabal will play that over and over in the meeting room, and it won't get bored. We won't get bored of watching those.
What is your favorite block this season?
Every block. I mean, to be able to block for my quarterback, for Carson Beck, it's a great experience.
You look like somebody that I would like to go have a nice meal with. Like a very nice, mild-mannered guy. I think people would say, CC's nice. When you walk through the tunnel, what do you have to do to snap into a murderer?
I'm already in that stage. It's when we get to the hotel. That's when you got to turn that mindset on. And it's all blurred from there.
One of the things that Brockermeyer mentioned this, and Coach Mirabal mentioned this, like your receivers block so well.
Yeah.
How hyped do y'all get when CJ throws a good block, when Tony throws a good block?
I feel like those are the difference from this team, from last year's team, is our receivers' sense of urgency and like their physicality in blocking. When you look the first game against Notre Dame, I kind of sensed that from Malachi Tony, from CJ Daniels, and Kibo. We call him Kibo, Keelan Marion.
Yeah.
But those things help us get to where we're at. Is the physicality from our wide receiver standpoint.
When you're here in Miami, close to home, and you've got all the support here from most of the people here are, wearing Hurricanes gear and stuff, but then you go on the internet and read that most people are picking Indiana to win the game. How does that impact your mindset, your team's mindset?
It doesn't really matter with us. I mean, we've been the underdog since the beginning of college football playoffs, but it doesn't really matter with us. We just keep continuing to do what we do. and we just stick to whatever we have to do to be 1-0.
So you mentioned you came in as a 5-star, felt like a 0-star immediately. Malachi Tony comes in as a freshman, nicknamed Baby Jesus.
Yeah.
When you hear that nickname, you're like, this dude better be good or we got to give him a different nickname, right? Like, how long did it take you to realize, okay, his nickname's fine?
Yeah. No, when he first came in, it was kind of hard to notice him because he's a very quiet guy, very humble guy.
Yeah.
And when we're in practice, he started making plays, and I'm like, "Ooh, who's that?" They started calling him Baby Jesus. I'm like, "No, I'm a religious guy."
Right.
So you got to be like him to be called Baby Jesus. And sooner or later, he keeps proving me like he is Baby Jesus. So like, all right, Baby Jesus, you got it.
I guess if you could take like a tunnel screen and through 9 different people and score a touchdown in a playoff game, you earned your nickname.
Well, we got Cece and Baby Jesus playing for the national title on Monday night. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for being here. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. That was awesome. Okay, so I was wondering about the Baby Jesus thing with the other players because it's one of those nicknames that you hear it at first, and whether you're deeply religious or you're a really good football player, either way, you're going to go, you're going to need to prove that to me before I'm going to even consider calling you that.
Yeah. I do think that He Got Game kind of prepared us for this.
Why did you name me Jesus? It's a biblical name.
It's not. No, but I think that there probably are some people who are like, wow, that's a little much. But he does things that are really impressive on the football field and wins over every single person who watches him play. And wherever you stand on his nickname, that's your prerogative. What I do know is that he can change the game.
He can, but he can also change the game with his blocking. And that's the thing that Francis Mauigoa is explaining. We're going to have an interview on Monday's show with Alex Mirabal, Miami's offensive line coach. And he said he gets just as excited about the receivers and the way they block. And CJ Daniels is a very good blocker. But Malachi Tony, even as young as he is, came in as a very willing blocker. And some of those
big dude either. That's the most important part.
No, but he will stick his face in there, and I think that's what really matters. And some of those runs by Mark Fletcher Jr., by Marty Brown, like those are the result of great blocks by the offensive line, but also great blocks by the receivers. And so watch the Miami receivers. And in the let's be fair, the Indiana receivers are really good at this too. Again, disciplined teams, one of the hallmarks is how well do their receivers block. And I think in both of these cases, they're very disciplined teams with receivers who are very, very willing blockers.
Yeah. We keep talking about it. We have an offensive line episode right now. Whoever wins the game is going to be the more dominant physical team up front on both sides of the ball. Is Indiana going to be able to run it as effectively as they've ran it against their other two teams in the playoff? I don't know. Is Miami going to be able to run it as effectively? I don't know. I don't even know who that's the thing. Have we even said who has an advantage? Who do you think has better lines?
It's hard because if you just say, I think this is a better offensive line, I don't think that really tells the story. I think it's got to be who has the better offensive line against this defensive line. And that actually complicates this picture even more because we're dealing with two very good defensive lines. They're kind of different. Miami is going to have 4 guys up front a lot of the time, and they are going to rush those 4. They're not going to try to trick you a lot. They're just going to say, try to block Ruben Bain and try to block Akeem Messidor. And we don't know that you can. Indiana is going to run these really fun stunts where they'll have defensive tackles that are clearing out guards and letting the edge wrap around and go hit the quarterback. Like, they are so much fun to watch. They play a lot of bear front. They walk up their linebackers a bunch. Like, they are going to make Miami's offensive line think a lot.
Indiana creates havoc in a different way.
Yeah.
And it's really, really fun to watch because it's very cerebral as much as it is physical, which is why, when you walk in and you see how much bigger Miami's players are, that might not tell the entire story of what we're going to get on Monday night.
Well, I think we should talk about one really big Indiana player, and that is Carter Smith, their left tackle, because he's one of the more interesting players in this game, because there aren't a lot of people who play a lot who are left over from the bad times at Indiana, who were there when they were a bad program.
I think I may have offended him during this interview, and I apologize. But, it is an interesting dynamic because everybody views Indiana as a team that has been put together in the last 12 to 18 months, and there are people who are very integral to the success of this team that were part of the Indiana roster when Tom Allen was there.
Yeah. And those days were much like most of Indiana's football history. They did not win. They didn't really even have there's not like this was a good period. They had occasional good years. Like when they had Anthony Thompson in the late 80s, they were pretty good. But then it would very quickly just fall back off the table. And I think this is something completely different for these people. They have not seen anything like this. And I don't think you're alone. Like you say you think you made Carter Smith a little uncomfortable, but I do think what you asked him is what everybody wants to know is you were there for the bad times. You're now here for the good times. How did this happen?
Yeah. Before we get to the interview, Andy, I wanted to say there's a reporter who covers Indiana named Zach Osterman. And I've known Zach for years. Mm-hmm. And back when I was on the Ohio State beat, I used to see him regularly, 2-3 times a year, whether it be a basketball game or road games at Indiana or in Columbus or at the Combine or all sorts of different things. And, I said to him in the media day setting this morning, like, who would have thought we'd ever be here together? And he goes, well, I thought, at the beginning of the year, they'd be a really good team and make the playoff. And I was like, no, Zach, I'm not talking about talking to yourself from, 6 months ago. I'm talking about 2016, Zach, when you used to come to Ohio Stadium and watch your team lose 60-0.
Yeah.
And he's like, man, I know. It's unbelievable. I never thought this day would come. And it's like, yeah, no one did. And it's okay to acknowledge that. I think Curt Cignetti has acknowledged that. And, it's unbelievable. It's the way we started the show. I think that we're all trying to figure out how in the hell is this possible? And it's okay to talk about it. I think it is. And I think Carter was good about it.
I think if you're Carter, in fairness to him, he's been in it the whole time. He's been there day by day, second by second as it's changed. So it's sort of like your kids. It's like when somebody sees my son who hasn't seen him in 2 years, they're like, holy crap, you became a man overnight.
He is a man.
But I didn't notice that every single day. Like I didn't wake up every morning and go, wow, you're taller than me now.
Funny enough, that's how I get away with gaining weight. My wife doesn't notice.
Well, Indiana gained football skill and the ability to compete at a national elite level over the last 2 years. And now they have a chance to win the national title game. And I imagine this process is as surreal for Carter Smith as it has been for anybody. Let's talk to Carter Smith, the left tackle for the Indiana Hoosiers. Mike's up. Well, Ari asked Carter this question right now. Go ahead.
Do you want to introduce or?
We'll introduce him in another way. I want you to ask Carter Smith from Indiana, star left tackle, this incredibly stupid question. Go ahead.
Do you think if somebody gave me $1 million, but all I had to do was beat you one rep, and I got 15 attempts, that I could do it one time with the adrenaline?
Man, I would love to stand here and give you all the credit in the world, but I'd have to tell that man to keep his money.
You're not the first Carter he's asked this to. A few years ago, he asked this of Jalen Carter.
And I was the offensive lineman in this scenario.
Dude.
He wasn't as amused by it as you are.
You're about to get paid to block Jalen Carter.
I don't even think that millie would cover your hospital bills.
Carter, how much fun has this been for you? I mean, you've been in Indiana this whole time, so you've seen the entire transformation. To be here playing for the national title, what does that mean?
It means everything to me. Coming in my first 2 years here, came up short, and it wasn't necessarily what I was looking for, but I kept my head down and I kept working. And Cignetti came in and, everything became right. It's just that the program started meshing really well. The team really started to commit to the regiment and his program. And now I've been playing through. I've been in 2 of some of the biggest bowl games so far in college football, so it's definitely surreal.
Carter, I think it's an interesting perspective because, a lot of people view this team as very transient, and a lot of people who came in later and weren't really here for the before times and stuff. When you say that the program shifted because of him, can you explain like what that means and how that felt?
Yeah, programs and people adapt all the time. I think it was just a great decision by Dolson and by President Witten to bring in Coach Cignetti, and it shows out on the field. From the team standpoint, the JMU guys coming in really set the tone for what our culture needs to look like in the locker room, because, it's all about winning to them, but they're also about having a good time, and they're humble guys, and they've rubbed off on me pretty well, I would say. And it's been a lot of fun having them around.
How soon, though?
Who among those JMU guys, when they got there, were you like, okay, I need to see what he's doing and kind of do that?
Fisher's always been a standout at JMU.
Yeah.
And he's a standout here too. It goes to show how hard of a worker he is. Fish is definitely up there. I really like the O-linemen they brought in from last year, Nick Kidwell and Tyler Stevens. They were good friends of mine, and they were a lot of fun to hang out with. But they were also very.
This is how you deal with it. This is how you deal with Cignetti.
Yeah, totally.
How long from after he walked into the room were you like, oh crap, this is different? Like, was it like an immediate thing, or was it gradual?
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. It's a different feeling from Coach Allen coming in with a smile on his face, jumping around, and. With all respect, I love Coach Allen.
Get out of your ass. We know that.
I love Coach Allen.
Yeah.
But Cignetti walks in with his, he's a little loose, and he's got his attitude, he's got his eyes. He's walking in here all serious, and
That mean mug that we see on the sidelines.
exactly,
right? Yeah.
exactly.
So
And
that look that went viral. What's it like when he hits you with that in practice?
you definitely have to stand there and think, oh goodness, what did I do for a second? But it's all in good love. He's going to coach you at the end of the day, and that's what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
So do you how online are you? Do you read Twitter and stuff?
I dabble.
Okay.
I dabble.
Okay. So you'll know what I'm talking about then. There's been no coach in my 15-year career, Andy's been doing this longer, that I've seen mean mug the television camera during a game more often.
And he finds the camera pretty
well. Do you think
well,
he's
too.
doing that on purpose?
Dude, I could not tell you. I would think
right into the barrel of that thing.
Maybe he is, but I can't give you a straight answer.
I'm convinced he's not. I think that's just him, and the camera just knows how to find him.
I do too.
No, there was that one of him where he just looked at somebody and just went, I think that's kind
that
of
was McAfee.
Yeah.
Pat
Oh, yeah.
McAfee. Yeah.
The best one was in the Rose Bowl. Alabama's got that they snuck the quarterback onto the personal protector punt team. They're going to run the freeze play. Everybody knows it. Your punt return team knows it. They're not moving, and he's just sitting there like, enough of this bullshit. Come on, we've got a game to play. Is it how often is he like that?
I mean, what you see is what you get, and that's the way he is. I think he was a little. What's the word I'm looking for? He wasn't necessarily caught off guard, but he was definitely surprised that they thought that they could fool our defense with that. But we're headstrong in there.
How exciting is this game for you? I mean, you don't play with their offensive line on the field, but these are two great offensive lines. We were talking to Miami's O-line coach, and he's gone through all of your film and all of Pat's film, and he's singing your praises here. He's like, these guys are amazing. That's why this game's gonna be awesome. But how fun is it when there are two great offensive lines on the field?
It's always fun to see, our D-line is no one to be trifled with. They're great. They're a great front. They have a great front as well, and it's going to be a very physical game, and we know that. It's going to be a 4-quarter game, and I think the fans are in for a show.
I mean, you're going to be getting NFL reps in this game. You're going against NFL guys. I mean, is that exciting for you?
Absolutely. Playing higher competition is definitely a big thing for me too. I always enjoy going against the best, and that's what I want. But at the end of the day, I need to remember that I'm playing with 5 other guys out there on the offensive line, and it's not all about me. I got my boys to protect me, and I got to protect my boys.
One of the things we've talked about with your team is you guys don't make a ton of mistakes. When the other team makes a mistake, you punish them. How important is it, if your defense gets you a turnover, to make sure you cash that in the end zone?
Oh, it's so important to us. And, you know, whenever we go out there and we don't cash in on a turnover, it always kind of hurts us a little bit. But we know that we got to get back out there on the next drive and put 7 more on the board.
Carter, I don't know what it's like to be in IU's locker room the first half of your career, but I'm assuming that there isn't a general thought process that you're going to make it to this stage, right? I don't know. Is that insulting? But Curt came out and said today that it's not a novelty for you guys to be here. And I just want to know, like, given the fact that you went through this build and you had some of the harder times, you got gradually better as you went, how do you lose track of, like, holy crap, Indiana is in the national title game?
What do you mean, how do you lose track?
Or, like, how do you, like, not give in to the novelty of, like, how insane it is that you got – I mean, like, listen, we're all adults here. Nobody in a million years thought this was even possible.
Yeah, because that –
2 years ago, maybe this year they did, but
Totally.
2 years ago.
Totally. At the end of the day, like I said, people in programs adapt. So I think it was really important for Dolson and Whitten to bring in Coach Sig and his winning attitude from JMU and Troy and everywhere that he's been through. You know, it works here because, you know, it's all part of his little equation, and it all comes together at the end of the day.
What's the equation? Is there an actual?
I would say it's, you know, he likes to keep practices a little short.
Yeah.
But whenever we go in there with the intent to kill and to, you know, iron sharpens iron every single day.
The intent to kill. I love it.
We're going to borrow that for an Andy Ari t-shirt.
Absolutely. we'll royalties will be thrown your way in Sig's way. Nope, don't you worry.
Just send me an email.
You got it. Carter, thank you so much.
Or your people, right?
That's right. Yeah. Appreciate it, Carter.
Thanks so much for being
so
here.
much.
Seriously, good luck.
Ari, this is going to be an incredible game. I'm so excited to see Carter Smith against Ruben Bain. Let's go.
Yeah, it's going to be NFL reps, like I said. NFL reps. Who's going to win?
Yep. So our guy Pete Nakos, by the way, is on the set with us.
Nakos.
He's right here. He just dropped the story as we're recording this that Miami tried to flip Fernando Mendoza from Indiana out of the transfer portal last year. So not before Mendoza decided to go to Indiana, because Miami did recruit him from Cal before he made that choice. And we've talked about how Georgia recruited him too, and then he picked Indiana. But after he picked Indiana, Miami went back in, and his brother Alberto, who's Indiana's backup quarterback, said they came in late, they pushed hard for sure, and ultimately Indiana won.
Well, maybe that takes a little bit of the hatred they didn't want me edge out of his heart.
Oh, they wanted him.
No, I'm saying like from high school.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, because like that, everybody thinks that Fernando Mendoza is like got this like furnace in his belly of just like, I want to pay back these hometown.
Listen, every football player can come up with that. They can put that chip on their shoulder. So if he wants to use the recruitment out of high school, I don't think that's a problem. I think he will be able to stoke that fire and get it burning pretty hot.
It would be just like Pete, though, to come out here and drop a story like that. Guy's a savage.
I love it. I love it. And it is so exciting because I love what Alberto Mendoza said. He goes, ultimately, Indiana won. Well, we don't know that. We'll find out because whoever wins Monday night will be who ultimately won. Whoever wins Monday night will be the national champion. Our last word is going to come from one of the folks who came to see us. He watches the show. He came and got some free Modelo. Got a Modelo jersey, custom made. It's our man Carlos. So let's talk to Carlos. All right, we are here with Carlos. Carlos is here for the greatest thing in the world, free beer. He's already got his Modelo. But Carlos is a viewer, and he's a Canes fan. You can't see it beneath, but one set of laces is green and one set of laces is orange. Carlos, how long have you been a Canes fan?
Oh, 45 years.
So you were a Miami fan before Miami was actually good.
Yes.
Favorite Miami era. Schnellenberger, Johnson, Erickson, Butch Davis, Larry Coker, Cristobal.
Johnson.
Okay. Who is your favorite all-time Cane?
Ed Reed.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think Ed Reed is probably everyone's answer, right?
Jerome Brown, Cortez Kennedy. I could go on.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Rohan Marley.
Sean Taylor.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Rohan Marley.
Rohan Marley was
guy. He
awesome.
could hit number one.
You were a safety when you play football, right?
I was a safety.
So you like the little guys who can hit.
Yeah, I like doing my drills with the linebackers.
Now, you mentioned Ed Reed. Where does Sean Taylor fit in that?
Oh, right after him.
So, Carlos, what has it been like as a Canes fan going through the last 20 years?
Well, I'm a season ticket holder, so I've always believed in the Canes, and I knew that we would come back and be here, just like Coach Mario says.
For it to be in South Florida, for this game to be here, this building filled up with Miami fans, how important is it to the legacy of Mario Cristobal, this team, this program, to win on Monday?
Well, that's a 10 out of 10. We couldn't have wished that for that.
All right. We're going to put you on the spot. Give us a score prediction.
Miami 35, Indiana 21.
Woo! He's calling for the blowout.
You heard it there first.
All
man.
right,
Get the
Carlos, we're going to hold you to that. I hope you put some money on that because you win a lot of money if you get that
did.
right.
over. Did you?
All right, Carlos, thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you
fun.
guys.
Appreciate
Thank you
you,
for
man.
what you
Good
guys
luck.
do.
All right, so Ari, Carlos thinks this is going to be a blowout, and Miami's going to just roll.
Dude just dropped 35 on Indiana like it was nothing, dude.
We got some Indiana fans. We got an Indiana fan in his Roback Indiana polo. We got a custom. Come here, ma'am. Come back here. Come back here. We got custom Hoosiers Modelo jersey. What's your name?
Karen,
Karen. How excited are you for this?
I am so excited for this. I've waited for this since 1968.
Did you ever in your life think this was going to happen?
Never in my life. It's a once in a lifetime experience. I can't wait.
What is a rational amount of money that a person who's been waiting for since 1968 for this game spend their ticket to get it?
I got my tickets through IU, so I paid face value.
But what would you have paid?
I might have gone up only to about $1,500.
Yeah.
I'm a retired teacher.
But like we have some people here that are confused at why the prices are so expensive. And I think the reason why is both of these teams have been waiting a very long time to be here. And one of the teams is local. But if I were an IU fan, I think I would go into debt. Because I'm thinking like my father's a Cleveland Browns fan. They haven't done anything in my entire adult life. If they made the Super Bowl, which luckily for me financially it's never going to happen, but if it does, I feel like I would spend whatever. I would have no choice but to take him. And I hope that you have a wonderful time because if you've been a diehard fan since 1968, you deserve this. And I want you to have the best time of your life.
I went to the Rose Bowl. I went to the Peach Bowl. And I didn't go home after the Peach Bowl. I've been on the road coming down here to Miami.
You guys took over the Peach Bowl. I was there. That's the loudest I've ever heard a bowl game.
It was amazing. It was the best.
So, Karen, what did you teach when you were teaching?
I taught physical education and health, and then I was a school counselor.
These coaches talk about being teachers. What would Curt Cignetti be like on your staff?
Oh, he'd be perfect. He'd be perfect. He'd be down to earth. He's got morals. He's got discipline. He'd be perfect.
Well, Karen, have fun this weekend. Enjoy this so much. We had Carlos that we recorded before. He said Miami was going to win 35 to 18, 35 to 21. Okay. Karen, what is your prediction for the game?
I'm going to say 41 to 32.
Who wins?
IU.
Thank you, Karen.
Have a wonderful time. You deserve it. And you know what I like about this matchup? is that when we cover this sport, for my entire professional life, it was Ohio State, Georgia,
Alabama.
Clemson, Alabama, over and over and over. And you know what? I don't know if it's going to be like that ever again. But you have two fan bases. Now, Indiana, certainly more starving than Miami fans.
Right.
But both, 25 years is a long time.
Yeah.
That it will feel like
some Miami fans do not remember when they were winning national titles.
Right. And I kind of feel like people like Karen, people like Carlos deserve their turn.
Yes.
And one of them's going to get it, and I hope both of them at least it's a good game and both can enjoy the experience.
I cannot wait. Monday night on ESPN, Hard Rock Stadium, Miami and Indiana. We will be there, of course. We'll be doing a live show right after. You can find us on the On3 YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to the On3 YouTube channel, let's get yourself subscribed right now.
And a special thank you to our producer, River. Producer River is here. If you come say hi, just want you to know that he's here, doing a great job. He's behind the mic, making sure everything looks good. And again, it's a bitch, Nakos. Thank you for being here. It's been really fun, and we cannot wait for the game on Monday.
And thank you to Modelo for being with us all season. I love all our sponsors, but I may love you the most. I'm not going to lie.
They're a full-time fan.
Yes.
Every single one of the fans here, both teams,
absolutely,
are the commensurate full-time fans. So thank you for everybody being here.
Think about Karen rooting for Indiana her entire life, waiting for this. That is the definition of a full-time fan. So raise a Modelo.
Hey, Fred.
Oh, Karen's got her Modelo high in the air.
Hey, Karen, get it.
And enjoy the game, everybody. It's been an amazing football season, and we will talk to you on Monday.